killing Oromo!
Stop killing Oromo!
Stop killing Oromo!
Stop killing Oromo!
Stop killing Ogaden!
Stop killing Ogaden!
Stop killing Ogaden!
Stop killing Ogaden!
Stop your government!
Stop our government! Stop your government!
And the Oromian community is from Ethiopia in Africa, and the name of the people is Oromo, and they are here gathered in front of the legislature to express their peaceful protest against the Ethiopian government actions against our innocent people in the home country. At this moment, the Ethiopian government is committing crime against our university, college, and high school students, and as well innocent civilians because of their being Oromo, and as well using the master plan of Addis Ababa, displacing our farmers from their homeland in the name of development, which is deceptive, without any pre-consultation and reasonable compensation for our farmers in home country.
They gave it very beautiful name, that is a plan to develop the city. In actual fact, that was not true. It is a kind of an extension that this government had been evicting majority of the people through the land grab, and once they are done with that, they came back to the city and again evicting all the people that live surrounding the city by bringing different people to that area and making a kind of action that will lead to the ethnic or different people infighting. So what we are planning to do here is to show the atrocities, the deceptive plan under this master plan, so that the world community understands this problem and stand by us.
What the Canadian government and also other humanitarian organizations and agencies have to understand is the Oromo are the majority, about 40% of the country's population, and the land mass of the Oromia region is also the central and the most fertile area in that country. Despite these all facts, this majority is subjugated and suppressed, and the resource is looted and plundered by the minority government. And the land is, most fertile lands and the minerals are sold to the foreign investors in the name of development. But it's not the real development in that country. When we just, quote the real definition of development, it doesn't imply the real development in that country. While about 11 million people are starving, and again also thousands of farmers are displaced from their homeland and become homeless, and they are begging on the streets of the capital city and other provincial cities. So there is no real development and a genuine development in that country. There is no also genuine democracy, and there is no genuine election in that country. It is a deceptive and gerrymandering election when there is a vote rigging and election irregularities during the election time. So this majority people and also other nations and nationalities in that countries are suppressed and subjugated by the minority government and this dictator government. So
We don't deserve bullet. We deserve study, justice, freedom for Oromo, freedom for Ogaden, freedom for Ogaden.
So what's going on here today?
Well, today we're mounting a regular protest to make the government of Canada stop the bombing. Notwithstanding the promises of Justin Trudeau, the bombing continues of Syria, creating more refugees. The relations with the United Nations and lack of attention to Palestine is continuing, and we're here as part of the Edmonton Coalition Against War and Racism to keep the candle burning.
So what you're saying is you're not satisfied with the promises of the new Liberal government?
Well, we'd certainly be satisfied with the promises in terms of stopping the bombing, but it's the fulfillment of those promises. So we're going to be here, whether we're a pinprick or a quiet voice in the cacophony of all the other voices. We say stop the bombing and support the refugees.
Hello, my name is Alex. We're here to stop the bombing of Syria and Iraq, stop the imperialist government of Canada. The monopoly capitalist media right now are trying to shame or encourage the new Trudeau government into continuing the imperialist war against Syria and Iraq, pretending to be a war against ISIS, when ISIS is really the product of the imperialist war against Syria and Iraq. So we're here to oppose that, send a message to the Trudeau government that it should fulfill its promises to stop bombing Syria, and we're going to hold it to those promises, and we're going to stay out here as long as it takes.
Racism.
You're back.
We're back, and we're going to stay back until the government of Canada becomes an anti-war government.
In what way do you mean that?
Well, we've stopped the immediate bombing, but we want the stop in the Middle East of plane spotting and refueling and war making. The government of Canada and the other so-called coalition allies are not making any positive contribution to peace in the region and are sabotaging any hopes for peace that there is in the immediate future.
But the government has pledged that the bombings will stop on February 22nd, I
Yes,
believe?
the bombings will stop. However, that is also the result of an ongoing power struggle inside the Ministry of Defence and the Canadian military, who are hellbound to be ready to go and make war.
So what would you ultimately like to come from this picket today?
Well, a picket, just a realization to our general public and social media that the issue is not over. The government still has to be held to account, and we're still, in our own fashion, struggling for peace.
We have been putting on interfaith concerts like this one for a number of years. I like these concerts because they exemplify what the Edmonton Interfaith Center is all about. In this concert, we will encounter cultures from around the world and the religions they came from.
words of Royland, who sang before, I think the greatest wow in interfaith work is really the many friends who have let me into their lives, we have shared our common humanity, though we're of different faith perspectives.
Welcome to this celebration of the World Interfaith Harmony Week. It was first proposed at the UN General Assembly on September 23, 2010, by His Majesty King Abdullah II of Jordan. Just under a month later, on October 20th, 2010, it was unanimously adopted by the UN, and henceforth the first week of February is going to be observed all over the world as World Interfaith Harmony Week. The World Harmony Week provides a platform 1 week in a year when all interfaith groups and groups of goodwill can show the world what a powerful movement they are.
And one thing that I want to say is that I do not believe much in a lowest common denominator approach to interfaith dialogue. I think we need to be honest when we refer to our own particularities of belief, and I think that the troubles of our age require working together, but recognizing those differences also. Because those differences can be resources for different approaches to solving those troubles of our age.
Ladies and gentlemen, today's topic is love of God, or love of the good, and love of thy neighbor. When I think about this topic from the Hindu perspective, I believe it can be translated to Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. Here Satyam is the truth, Shivam is the good or goodness within ourselves, that is divine, and that God lives in each of us, and Sundaram means beauty, we see beauty everywhere. Hinduism has a non-duality school of thought which focuses.
One of my favorite and best known comments on how we treat each other that has a Jewish basis is from the Talmud, which is the oral law that was later codified in writing. It's the story of Rabbi Hillel, a rabbi who lived around the same time as Jesus. The story goes that a non-Jew came to Rabbi Hillel and said he would convert to Judaism if the rabbi could teach the man the entire Torah in the same time he could stand on one foot. Rabbi Hillel's response: "What is hateful, do not do to your fellow man. That is the whole of the Torah. The rest is commentary." It's an ethnic identity. My own Jewish spiritual practice leans heavily on the observance of Tikkun Olam, which means healing or repairing the world. In this way, loving the good or loving the neighbor is all part and parcel with social justice and striving for a world of peace and understanding between all people.
The noun used for a person of exemplary behavior and character in Yiddish is a mensch, and this word simply means a human being. All the defining qualities have to do with making the world a better place, tikkun olam, as Paula said, to repair the world. Why do we do this with no heaven or hell to reward us? Because it is the right thing to do. The reason I think this year's theme is so important and welcome is that the interfaith movement is well aware that we are often misunderstood, thought to uniformly comprise people who profess a specific faith as an integral part of our existence. For some of us, yes, people who are willing to publicly identify as being of a faith tradition need to be willing to say who we are and that we are part of the solution, not part of the problem. When the Interfaith Center membership we form, it certainly doesn't ask anything about faith, least of all if you have one, or which one. The New Age focus on spirituality, as in the oft-heard phrase, I'm spiritual but not religious, I think is dividing us. The interfaith movement must embrace, as I believe Judaism has, those whose lives are governed by love of their fellow creatures. We cannot continue to alienate them. And that's why I like this year's theme. Thank you so much.
But he's not here. I find that rude. Just kidding. I thought he was going to be here.
Today at her courthouse.
Today is the last day of Brad Poncapo's solo exhibit. It's called Touch the Sky.
And what is particularly unique about this exhibit?
Well, Brad's been an artist for 25 years, and this will be his first exhibit that he's ever had. He's also a client of Ambrose Place, so he's got quite a history, a personal history that's quite eclectic, and this might be the only exhibit that he has.
And why is that?
He has cancer.
Mm-hmm. And this is the first exhibit he's ever had in public. And how's the reception been to it so far?
It's been amazing. It's been amazing. We're very, very grateful. AMSA, the Art Mentorship Society of Alberta, partnered with Ambrose to make this happen, and we're very, very excited to have given him this opportunity to show his work.
Mm-hmm. And what do you hope will come from this the show?
Well, I'm kind of hoping that there will be more recognition that there are artists out there that we don't know about, because they've got stories and histories that kind of overshadow the talent, and that they're very capable and very proficient and very prolific and brilliant.
And are these pieces of art from different stages of his life?
There are some from the last 10 years, but the bulk of this is actually done in the last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what else would you like people to know who might be watching this?
Just to keep an eye out, because we're hoping to have more short-run exhibits in the future.
Great.
Not ours! Their skin! Not ours! Their lives! Not ours! Their house! Not ours! Their skin! Not ours! Their lives! Not ours!
So what's happening here today?
We're here because we are really speaking out against Canada Goose. It's a hugely popular fashion item right now, and they use only real fur on their jackets. And so we're here to make people aware of the suffering. I think mostly use coyote, and we're here to remind people of the suffering these animals go through for this trim. And I think a lot of people maybe don't realize that they would not wear a fur coat, but they don't really connect the dots that an animal had to die for the trim on their coat.
And people might not even be aware that it is real fur.
Oh no, some people might actually think it's fake. We have heard people say that their Canada Goose coat has got fake fur, but it doesn't. It's always real fur.
And I would assume that the way that the coyotes are being killed for this is not. I mean,
most of them are being trapped. Some of them are shot. But either way, it's it's cruel. You're taking the life of an animal for a little bit of trim on a coat. I don't understand that people don't make the connection, don't say no to cruelty. I just don't understand. But but that's why we're here, is to remind people, of the suffering these animals endure, just to make a little bit of trim for, like, what is a fashion statement.
What do you hope will be the outcome of today's protest?
Well, I hope that we will reach a lot of people. It's busy here today, and so I think we are making a statement, and hopefully people will start to think about it. And if they're thinking about getting a Canada Goose coat, that they will buy something else.
Thank you.
Canada Goose jackets use bone-crushing steel leg hold traps that are illegal in over 80 countries. When caught, these animals have one of three options: chew their own limbs off to escape, as they often have babies to get back to; 2, bleed, freeze, or starve to death; or 3, wait to have their skulls crushed in by a dispatcher. This is a terrible and awful industry to support. These animals want to be free. They want to live with their families and breathe. Please do not take their lives. The fur industry is an awful industry to support. Over 100 million animals worldwide get killed for their fur every single year. Please make better choices in 2016. Give up the fur industry and give up Canada Goose jackets. Help us make fur history today.
It's the 11th annual Memorial March of Edmonton for all the missing and murdered women.
And why does this happen every year?
Every year, more women keep going missing, more women are murdered. Trials are starting to happen here in Edmonton, and most recently the government is looking for stories or recommendations for the inquiry to missing and murdered women, Indigenous women.
Do you think it's a positive thing that there's finally going to be an inquiry?
Personally, I'm not for inquiry.
Why is that?
I think that the money is better off spent in different areas like education. However, I'm really glad that the Minister of Indian Affairs has actually listened to some of the stories and listened to recommendations. I don't think that $40 million is going to bring closure to 2,500 families. And I really worry about the non-Indigenous families, like, where do they come in?
Non-Indigenous families in terms of people who have also experienced loss as well in similar ways? Or?
Non-Indigenous as in white, black, Asian, any of the other cultures and nations that have lost their loved ones in Canada.
What do you hope will come out of the march tonight?
The only reason why I like doing this walk is just to raise awareness and for the families to come together. The families to meet each other and to come together to share that common bond. A club nobody wants to join.
Do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I'm pretty satisfied with how the night has turned out with the police. They've actually come and they're going to provide the escort.
Because previously that was a barrier, wasn't it? The police, there were some high policing costs associated with this.
That and, wanting us to modify the route so we don't interrupt family day events. And that to me is such, it really, really bothers me because this is a family day event for so many people, and it's just part and parcel with what Edmonton has here going.
I think that having a march to honor our missing and murdered sisters, our stolen sisters, the men that have been missing and murdered, our young people who are missing and who may be murdered, for all of us that have loved ones out there that are in chaos, this day is a day where we support one another and give each other strength and courage to face another day, and to stand up against the systems that sometimes choose to ignore the fact that no matter what career people were in, they're still part of a family and they're still part of our communities. And every death leaves a big hole, not only in our hearts, but in our family and in our community. Children that are left with no mother or no father, or aunties or uncles that are taken like that, they feel that loss. And you talk to them and they will acknowledge it, but they don't understand. We're all humans. We all have that feeling and those feelings of love.
It's right there. XI. Yeah, I saw one too. It was the same.